Hello. Thank you so much for joining me today, Patricia. My
Thank
name is
you.
Crispin Spaeth. I'm here with Patricia Viscount, and we're here today to talk about, the topic is how to how to create a connection statement that you can say confidently that doesn't make you feel or sound weird. That was a long way to explain the thing. Um, I am a movement, performance, and presence coach. And I teach something called integrative Alexander technique, which is a way to access your coordination so you can show up as yourself as you wish to show up in the world. And I wanted to talk to you, Patricia, because I think of my work as content agnostic. Right? So when I work with entrepreneurs or with leaders around their embodied communication skills, I'm not in there editing their content. I might give them feedback about, oh, I didn't really understand that part. That feels a little murky to me. Or you might, you know, this is how my brain took it in, but I'm not doing any of the wordsmithing for them. Like it's their ideas. But you, as a writer and content strategist, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, do that work. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell people how you work with clients, and then we'll get to our big question.
Awesome. Okay. I am a brand voice strategist and a content copywriter, communications specialist. So I help coaches and consultants who are really struggling with being consistent across their platforms. So if you meet, you might meet me at a networking event. I just got back from a luncheon, and you get to experience me in real life. But then if you sign up for my emails or if you start reading my LinkedIn posts or my newsletters, you want to make sure that I'm the same person throughout, because if I'm not, then there's a disconnect, a distrust almost, because it's not consistent and you don't know whether I've been hacked or whether I just don't know my brand voice. We call it a brand voice, is basically how you want to show up.
Hmm. Yeah, I think I wonder how many solopreneurs or independent consultants and coaches um, really strategize around their own brand voice, or if they're just like, I'm going to be me all the time and show up, but that ends up feeling a little
Well,
jostled or
yes.
imprecise.
Yes. And it's interesting because it can go both ways. So they can be very consistent across all of the platforms because I show up the way I show up and I'm going to write the way I speak, which is amazing. But then when you delegate your content to somebody, when you
Yes.
reach that level that for your sanity, you need to delegate content, they don't know what's in your head. So you need to teach people, you need to train them to speak in your language. Or the other people that I see are, you are natural in real life, but then as soon as you sit behind a computer and you know that LinkedIn is a professional space, and your grade 8 teacher comes out and says you shall follow every grammar rule, and that sucks the creativity or the
Right.
personality out of you.
Yeah.
And so those are the two kinds of situations that I see, is that they know who they are, but they can't tell people how to write like them, or they want to write like them, but there is a barrier to that.
Hmm. And I know we're going to talk specifically about a connection statement. So that's, your everyday pitch, right? When you
Yeah,
meet somebody, your elevator pitch that used to call it, but who rides elevators? Our work from
exactly.
our work from home pitch, my Zoom pitch.
That's right. And I
Um,
find, so I like to
yeah.
call it a connection statement because when I think of an elevator, that just seems so transactional. And when
Hmm.
we introduce ourselves, we're really trying to build that connection and that relationship. So I like to call it a relationship or a connection statement just because of that.
Hmm. Before we get to that, I wanted to ask about like, are there other common, you mentioned LinkedIn posts
Mhm.
as being a place where people, might lose their personality,
Yeah.
or when they're writing for themselves, or not be able to um, express that brand personality, brand
Right.
persona to any support staff. Are there other places where you find, like when you work with somebody and you help them with their brand voice, what are the other kind of channels where they might want that consistency?
Hmm. Well, anywhere they show up, really. So I help them with their emails as well, because so many people use AI and it's a wonderful tool, but it has its own parameters and own ways of working. And if you don't know that and you just copy and paste, then you're losing a lot of your voice. The other one are blogs. And it's interesting because I had a client that we did this brand voice discovery session that I do with clients. And she actually started putting, like, using her core words, like her brand personality, in her proposals and in her presentations. And it was really interesting because I'm used to how you show up in your website and all of those kinds of things. But she actually went the extra mile and started doing it everywhere, which is amazing. It just made my heart
Yeah,
sing because, yeah,
yeah, yeah. So in my work, I'm always looking for like congruence,
yes,
where how you are in your body and your whole self matches what you're expressing. It sounds like she's taking that throughout all of her business
exactly.
operations. Yeah.
Yes.
How
Yeah, it was amazing.
satisfying.
It's so nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's jump to our big question. So this is the part of our conversation where like we work a problem. Like
Yeah.
we try to figure out um, how both of us would approach the problem. There might be some overlap, or we might just be talking about, oh, I would do it this way, I would do it that way.
Yes.
And the big question, I'm going to get our language right because we did work on this. We worked on the language. Why your elevator pitch feels weird and how to fix it. So we'll call it conversation. Sorry,
Yeah.
connection statement.
Yes.
Why it feels weird and how to fix it. So Um, I really started doing a lot of networking post-pandemic. I mean, I started this coaching business in 2017 is when I finally got certified in the Alexander technique after studying it for almost 30 years. And I
Wow.
was like, I need to accomplish this in my life. So I put other things aside and during the pandemic learned how to teach online and then I was lonely. So frankly, it was a social thing for me to join networking groups and talk about
Mm,
my work. And um, not many people have heard of the Alexander technique, and it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing to bring into a business context. It's just not a usual, um, it just isn't done that often. So to
hmm
me, the benefits of learning skills for embodied communication means you can have that congruence in the workplace. You can bring, um, yeah, I will say the word authentic. I know it's gotten a bad rap, but you can bring your authentic self to the situation at hand
hmm
so that you feel comfortable and confident and have all that self-trust and people really know what they're getting.
Right.
Could be employers, it could be you're a manager, it could be you're in a networking situation and want to make sure people understand who you are. So
Exactly.
that's kind of how I approach it is through movement skills and nervous system. I've stopped using the word regulation or management, but
Okay.
an understanding of your nervous system.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so that you can build that trust in yourself over time.
hmm
The reason I made that switch is that I think it's like when we say manage your nervous system, it's sort of like, oh, it's bad. And our
Right.
nervous
Yeah.
system is amazing. Like, what a beautiful contraption we are.
Yeah.
Like, everything works as intended. So, yeah. So, what would you say to somebody who is nervous about networking and doesn't know what to say, or thinks they know what to say but doesn't feel good about saying it?
Well, I have to say that I love the congruence that you and I both have because in order to be comfortable with talking about yourself and about your business and what you do, you really have to be comfortable with your unique voice or your natural voice, your genuine voice. Because I also try to avoid the authentic word,
Hmm.
but you you have to understand how you want to show up. So the connection statement has three separate sections or points. It's what you do, it's who you do it for, and it's the transformation that people get when working with you. So in order for it not to feel weird, you really have to say it in your own words that make sense to you. You have to say it with some kind of energy, and you also have to be comfortable with it. So you have to practice it. And I love where you're talking about the understanding your nervous system, because when we are in a situation that brings us stress, like networking or introducing ourselves for the first time, our our bodies, our stress responses, everything is going off.
Right.
And if you don't practice and if you don't know and if you're not secure in the language that you use, you're going to freeze, you're going to stumble over your words, and you're just going to lose that opportunity because you don't get a second chance for a first impression.
Hmm. Or like me, just keep talking until you see, like testing things to see if somebody has any
Yes.
response at all, which is, I'm sure, very boring for for people to be on the other
But
side of.
it's interesting that, we talk about a connection statement, but we can have several versions of our connection statement depending on the services that we want to sell and the audience
Hmm.
where we are. So if we're in a group of women, we talk about a certain thing, but if we're at a Chamber of Commerce luncheon or something where there's men and we serve men, or you know we have clients who are men, then we lean into that. So it doesn't have to have one written in concrete, but we do need to understand it, practice it, and be comfortable with it, and let our nervous system come down so that
Right,
we can communicate properly.
right. Or at least have that back pocket plan of having rehearsed it so that
Yes,
even
100%.
if your nervous system is not coming down,
Yeah,
you know the 12 words you're going to say.
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So could you repeat the components of the connection statement and then maybe share your own?
Okay. So it's what you do, it's
Hmm.
who you do it for, and it's the transformation that they get after working with you. So
Right.
I'm a brand voice strategist and communications specialist, but I don't ever really talk about that. I just say established coaches and consultants hire me to help them get off the hamster wheel of content creation. And I love that visual because, you could see people. And so, but that is not necessarily what you're thinking of or what you're expecting. So in order to help them get off the hamster wheel, I help them discover and document their brand voice, their unique voice on how they show up. And then I help them delegate it so that they can go back to running their business, going back into their zone of genius, and really getting their sanity back so that they can make money, and save time.
Cool. So what I heard was that you had the first connection statement had the hamster wheel image,
Yeah.
and then you kind of drilled down into two different things. One is
Yes.
how you help them, and the other is some benefits that they
Yeah.
will see. So that's the transformation piece.
Yeah. And and I've been working on mine a lot, like
Mm,
I over the years. So mine, I think it has, because some people say, well, it's kind of long. I want to create curiosity, So that's why I talk about the hamster wheel.
Mm,
So I don't have to say that I'm a brand voice strategist. I just say, I help people get off the hamster wheel.
mm-hmm,
And then I can bring it into, because I start off with established coaches and consultants, which is
mm-hmm,
who I serve.
mm-hmm.
And then I get into the hamster wheel and then the brand voice piece. So everybody's comfort level is different, but as long as you have those three things and you deliver it, because if I said established coaches and consultants hire me to get them off the hamster wheel, you have to have some kind of energy, and and
Mm-hmm.
I and I love what I do, and I'm
Right.
obviously an extrovert. So, I think that I could probably be a little overwhelming if I if I let myself. So I do, yeah, I am very conscious of the energy that I bring because I
Mm-hmm.
can be kind of exuberant because I love what I do.
I am an introvert and I love what I do. So,
Okay. So
so
do
to
you have a
me,
connection statement?
well, let's make one up right now.
Okay.
I make them up every day. I don't, I'm my own worst client and I don't rehearse the way that I should. So remind me of the components again.
So what you do,
Hmm.
who you do it for,
Hmm.
and the transformation or
Okay,
their
so
outcome.
the first version is going to be boring and then we can workshop it
Okay.
real quick. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm a movement, performance, and presence coach. That's what I do. My memory is so bad today. Who I do it for?
Who you do it for.
Yeah. Um, we do have a few audiences, so this is where I would choose depending on what
Yes,
setting I'm in.
100%. Yeah.
So for this setting, I would say I work with leaders and entrepreneurs, mostly women, to help them. I know we have a question mark around the word help, to teach them skills so that they can show up fully in their life and work.
And so
Yeah, so
you said like, you said your title, but
hmm.
what is it that you do?
Mm. And tell me how that's different.
Okay. Because who I am, what I am, I guess,
Yeah.
I'm a brand voice strategist and
Okay.
communications specialist. But what I do is I help people get off the hamster wheel.
Okay. So I help people access their natural coordination so that they can show up fully and congruent in their work and life.
Okay.
Congruent doesn't really work in that sentence.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. What would you do, my writer friend?
Alignment, bring
Align. Hmm.
alignment between their, between
Yeah.
or with or
Yeah. It's funny, I avoid the word alignment just because I am working with people's
right,
anatomical knowledge and I don't
right.
want anyone to think that I'm confusing something with chiropractic or
But
kind of work, although
is that your knowledge or your
that's
words?
my knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not theirs. Because I
Right.
think that I think alignment is more, and I'm going to use this accessible to
Right.
people
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
congruence.
Sometimes I say to help people align their movement to their message.
That I like. Yeah,
Okay, there we go.
yeah.
All right, so here's my new connection
Okay.
statement of the day. Uh, Hello, my name is Crispin. So nice to meet you. We're shaking hands at a networking event.
Yes, yeah.
Uh, I so what do I do? Oh yes, there's my name tag. It says Crispin Spaeth Coaching. I am a movement, performance, and presence coach, and I help people align their message, their movement to their message, so that when they're on stage or networking or even doing a pitch to investors, they're really just aligned to um, their goals.
Okay.
They do this communication. Yeah, lots of work to do, Patricia.
Yeah, it's just because it's you I love the alignment
Hmm.
between the movement and their message. So what does that look like?
In terms of how do I provide the
Yes.
service to
Yeah.
people? So
Yeah.
I I help people understand how they're actually built. So we go way back to how is your skeleton working right now? How are you walking? How are you standing? What are the things that influence how easily you can breathe?
Right.
And there are, some pretty common patterns. We're all variations on this human vertebrate theme, right? So there's
Yes.
some
You
things I
always make
can.
me feel like I need to sit up. Sit up.
No, no, no. But that there are patterns that help people, for instance, breathe in a more relaxed way, so that their diaphragm works, so that their voice works. So there are things we knock off the list pretty quickly, and
Mhm.
um, then I work with people. For instance, I just started working with a founder who's doing pitches for an incredible product that I can't name
Talk about, yeah.
under NDA. Yeah, we'll wait
Yeah.
until she has all her deals. Um, that, like you, she's an extrovert and she doesn't want to overwhelm
Yeah.
her investors.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so we're working on how she is going to be her whole self while speaking to this particular audience. So how to modulate her voice and her movement so that they understand she's the great business person that she is and also get as excited as she is about the product.
That I love. Like that piece. So talking about um what aligning your movement and your message, like that, being your whole self, but modulating or you know not overwhelming or not allowing your body or your nervous system to overwhelm your message
Mm-hmm.
or that kind of thing. Because I
Mm-hmm.
love that part. Like that
Mm-hmm.
has me very interested.
Mm. Okay, so maybe if I approach it more from a skill building perspective,
Yeah.
that they
And
get the
yes,
skill.
yeah. Because I think that um, when you're talking about um, aligning your movement and your message so that you and then I loved it when you talked about presenting to investors. So because people can see that
Right.
creates a visual that people can get behind and understand. And so that I think if you stick with the transformation that creates a picture, I think
Mm-hmm. Cool.
that would be
Great. All right, I've
okay.
just got some free on-air coaching.
Sorry.
Thank you so much.
Sorry. I know that that's not really where we wanted to go, but
Well, we were
I
going to
think it's so
workshop
important.
something. It just happened to be me.
Exactly. Yes.
That's
Awesome.
where
I
we
love
went.
it.
Yeah. Patricia, how would a client know that they need you?
So mostly is exactly what I described earlier. You go into a networking luncheon or a breakfast and somebody asks you what you do, and you're either going through the Rolodex. Okay, what is it that I do? How do I talk about this? Or you freeze and you don't say anything, or you just say, I'm a brand voice coach, or I'm a brand voice strategist and communications. Like nobody knows what that is, and they don't really care until you bring them a visual. So somebody who freezes or who rambles when they're asked what they do, somebody who doesn't really understand how to present it or how
Mm,
to talk about it, about what they do in the transformation, that is also something that people go, oh, okay, I think I need to work on this a little.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
That's really, and I mean, my main clients, my brand voice clients, it really is about their sanity. I was talking to a coach the other day, and she said that delegating her content was a matter of sanity. It wasn't a nice to have. It wasn't, I'm gotten to that point in my business now where I should. It was, I am going to lose my marbles if
mm-hmm,
I have to do content creation and client delivery work.
mm-hmm,
So that's for my main work, that is how people understand or recognize that they need help.
hmm I want to add another client to your type of client who might need
Okay.
you. And that's the client who diminishes their work as they just, or they just say, oh, I'm a CPA, or I'm in real estate. You
Yes.
know, that they
Yes.
they don't bring that energy that would
Yes.
actually bring them clients. And also it's why they're doing it. Like, do you feel like that when you go to work every day?
Yes.
I
So
hope not. I hope you're celebrating life as you're living it.
that's interesting. So that brings up two things for me. One is you ha especially in a crowded market like a coach or a consultant or a real estate agent or something like that, your niche is so crowded that you need to really be energetic and you really need to be sure of how you're showing up. You need to differentiate yourself from all of the competition out there. So that's one thing. And that you just reminded me of the luncheon that I just came from. This woman, she got up, she was asked to introduce herself, and she said, "Oh, I'm a massage therapist and I help people with chronic stuff feel better." And there was a woman who had gone to her in the room and she said, "I would like to please be," she said, she's not marketing herself very well at all. She said, "I broke my ankle. I couldn't walk. Physio had stopped working. I went to her, and after one treatment, I walked out of there singing and dancing."
If only all of us could have a live testimonial friend in the room all the time.
Honestly, I would love that.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting when you're absolutely right, when people diminish what they do, and
hmm
that's a disservice to them, and it's a
Yes.
disservice to the people that they could be serving.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Yeah. So to me, you said bring that. It has to be energetic. I would say bring the right energy, the
Yes,
the energy that actually matches you. So I'm advocating for the introverts
yeah,
that
absolutely. We
we
love that.
don't have to be over the top.
No,
We
you
can
do
just
not.
be accurate
Yeah.
and caring for our clients and our business.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. The right energy is
hmm
so important because that is also living your values, living your brand, and that is people see that and they prospects and your ideal client see that and they vibe with that and they
Yeah.
will choose you over so many other people because they truly trust you.
Right. Yes. All right. So, on our way out the door here, I guess I should run toward that door. Is there any questions you have for me or things you want to share before we end our conversation?
Well, I have an offer for your
Great.
viewers, but
Wonderful.
and it is a like a 30-minute call. If you just need some zhuzhing, if you want a sounding board, if you want just some clarity, that kind of thing, then I think you have it in the notes.
Yes, we'll put
That'd
that
be
in show
amazing.
notes.
Excellent. But what I'd like to hear just a tiny little bit more, and I know that we're running out of time, is so when we are in the front of a room and we're introducing ourselves,
Mhm.
how long or are there some tips and tricks that you offer or that you would suggest to help us understand our nervous system and
Right.
help us
Yes.
get over that freeze, flight, or fight? Or I think those are the three.
Right. So you're not going to get over that. I'm just going to say that
Okay.
that's a part of our amazing design.
Okay.
Yes, experience might mean it kicks off less often, or um, working with me might help it kick off less often, but there are two components to that. One is knowing that the chemistry that's running through your system is going to be there for 15 to 20 minutes minimum, no matter what
Okay.
you do. So
Okay.
trying to fight it is not helpful.
Okay.
You might just say, "Oh, thank you, system. Thank you." And then work with the rehearsed material that you have
Yes,
that you have.
absolutely.
And then the second thing is that idea of fighting it or trying to ground or hold on to yourself or kind of manage yourself is not helpful in allowing that chemistry to metabolize because
Mm.
we need movement through our whole system. It's how we're designed. If we kind of lock it up, not helpful.
That's amazing. See that I think that that's why we're good. That's why
Yeah.
this conversation needed to happen because I really do think that knowledge and working with both of those sides really helps. And
Hmm.
that's why I love
Yeah.
you.
Ah, love you too. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I know we could talk for hours as we have done in the past, but I think this is going to be a helpful conversation for people.
Wonderful. Thank you
So
very much for the opportunity to chat. It's wonderful.
wonderful to see you. Okay, see you soon.
Okay,
Bye bye.
bye.